every time I was having an achievement of any kind, I'd tell myself, need to do better. I can do better. I can reach harder, farther, faster. Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy, and today is going to be a phenomenal day. I am coming off of a phenomenal week, guys. I was just in the top of Europe, in the Alps, in Switzerland. I know. It's a dreamed life I live. I had such a fabulous week. I was away with my husband. We were celebrating two things. Not just our 20-year anniversary. Guys, I can't even believe that I'm old enough, first of all, to say that I've been married for 20 years. And, also phenomenally outrageous that I've spent literally half of my life with this man. It just blows my mind. And we were also celebrating Killian's 50th birthday, which half a century. What an incredible thing to say, that you've lived half a century. It's so cool. So we spent it doing the thing we love most, which is being outdoors in nature and hiking. And we've never done it in the Alps, so we thought we'd do that. And oh my gosh, did not disappoint. We were hiking on glaciers, hiking down from the Jungfrau into the gorgeous, beautiful Jungfrau Valley area in the Interlaken area. It was just phenomenal. If anybody has gone to Switzerland, you know what I'm talking about. It was beautiful. And, we had a lot of time for reflection and sharing moments with one another. And it was so interesting because one of my clients who just recently got married said to me, well, gee, Dr. Mack, you've been married for 20 years. What's the secret? And I said to her, I'm not an expert when it comes to marriage. And she said, well, if you've been married for 20 years, you kind of are. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? So Killian and I were chatting about it over this week and, asking one another, what is it that's been our secret to be so happy, just so happy in this relationship together and in this beautiful life that we've created together. And it was fascinating because when I asked him, we actually had the exact same response for the top three things. Number one was communication, which I'm sure you would have guessed as well. I think that's just so critical, is communication. And we work on it all the time. I think it's been a passion of mine to be working on communication. Communication is one of those things that is so critical in leadership and in relationships and in identifying your dreams and in shooting towards your own dreams. Being able to effectively communicate and also acknowledging when you're feeling a certain way and sharing it with somebody. I think communication really is the crux of a healthy, strong, loving, enduring relationship for sure. Number two that we came up with was giving each other space. Isn't that interesting? And I couldn't believe it that Killian agreed. That was also one of the top for him, is we give each other room to have interests outside of one another. We travel without each other. We indulge in exciting hobbies and daily habits that are not insisting the other one be a part of. We have friends outside of each other that aren't necessarily friends with the other one. It's really interesting that we support each other in that way. And then the third thing is what I wanted to talk about today, and I think is absolutely at the core of one of the most important practices in creating and building a happy life, a happy career, a happy experience of this human world as a soulful spiritual being, and that is celebration. As I was thinking about it over this week and as I was preparing for this episode, I realized that there are two main practices in my life that have turned my life around in terms of reclaiming my happiness. And that is, number one, for sure, gratitude. I have a daily gratitude practice, and we've talked about this on the podcast before. I think if nothing else, if you're finding yourself in an unhappy place and you did nothing else, committing to a daily practice of gratitude will change your life. Without a doubt. I say that with all confidence. If you are in a bad place right now, if you're finding that you're just feeling miserable, feeling disconnected, feeling like you don't have a purpose or an understanding of your place in this earth or in this life, simply starting with a daily habit of practicing gratitude will change your life without a doubt. And then the black belt version of that is to add a second practice in your day of celebration. This week for us, for Killian and I, was a week of celebrating one another and celebrating him. There was a time in my life when I didn't celebrate. I didn't even attend my college graduation. And that's what graduations are. They're a celebration, right? The actual graduation day is just a day. It's just a walking across. That's the easy part, is walking across the stage and receiving a certificate. And that's the way I looked at it in my mindset on that year in 1998 when I graduated from college. I just thought, well, this is just a silly day where all I would do was walk across the stage and get a piece of paper that actually at the time wasn't even the certificate. It was something, the certificate I received in the mail separately. So I thought, why even do this? You know, I'd worked so hard toward my psychology degree and my minor in sculpture and working towards a pre-dental certificate so that I could go into dental school. And for me, that didn't make any sense to waste my day walking across the stage. But I was missing a key component of the power and the strength behind celebration. See, what celebration does is it actually kicks off a cascade of events in your psyche and in your soul. Celebration of anything supports enormous power and taking back the driver's seat in your own life. Think about it for a moment. Celebration serves to offer evidence in your experience of your power. When you celebrate something, you're reminding your ego that you can do it. You're showing your ego evidence of how powerful you are, of what you're capable of. You're giving yourself back that empowerment. Celebration also offers value. It reminds us of how important this was. We wouldn't celebrate something that's not important, right? I don't celebrate that I brushed my teeth in the morning. Maybe I should. But that to me just comes effortlessly. But what I celebrate is something that, man, I'm celebrating that Killian and I just have reached 20 years of marriage. We have gone through so much. Taking the time to celebrate reminds me of that, of what I'm capable of what we are capable of together. Celebration also offers appreciation. I'd love for you to also imagine this in the lens of leadership of your team. You know, I remember when we reached Diamond Plus status. Actually, I lie. We reached Diamond status in my orthodontic practice. That was one of our goals as we were climbing up. If you're not familiar, in Invisalign, Invisalign has this phenomenal system of the number of cases that you complete or that you take on, you're ratcheted up in terms of your proficiency and your expertise using Invisalign. And I think it's a brilliant idea because what it did for my practice and an opportunity for me as a leader was to use it as a point in time to celebrate. When you celebrate with your team, when you include them in the celebration, when you give them a milestone that you can reach and achieve and then celebrate, it offers so much in terms of unity and team strength. It gives them that sense of value. You are worthy celebrating. You are worthy of acknowledging the amount of work you've put in here, and I am celebrating you. It offers a sense of ownership, not just capability, but also recognition of that capability, recognition of the effort, recognition of the commitment. It makes you feel a part of something. When you're celebrated, you feel connected to one another. It was a huge opportunity. We made a big deal of it. We had champagne, we had balloons, we had poppers, we had a big deal day. We took photos and sang ridiculous songs, and really, I think we went out to dinner as well. Just sharing with one another a celebration was enormously motivational to be able to keep going. And that's another big part of celebration, is it gives us motivation and intention to keep going, to keep reaching, to keep achieving our dreams. It not only offers us evidence that we can do it, but it gives us motivation to keep going. Think for a moment, if you just push through milestones, which absolutely I used to do. I used to just keep pushing through milestones. That example of me not attending my college graduation was a perfect example of a time in my life where I just kept going. I kept kicking that goalpost further and further and further along down the road. So, in other words, every time I achieved something, there was a little whisper inside of me that told me, I'm not enough. What I just did is not enough. I was reinforcing that old, disempowering belief system every time I didn't take the time to stop and celebrate myself. If you can identify with that, take a moment. Take a moment and let that sit in. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you didn't get into business to be miserable. The problem is that people feel that if their business gets busier, if they start becoming more successful, that happiness will eventually set in. But it can actually get worse. This is why I created the Business of Happiness Prosperity Coaching. In this one-on-one coaching, we look at how to redefine success on your terms and re-find the joy and the passion in your dream. Visit me at thebizofhappiness.com and become the happiest business owner you know. Have you been just pushing through one step after another without ever stopping to acknowledge and celebrate the accomplishments you've made? I mean, sometimes we have dreams and goals. We set off after them and we actually get there, but we don't stop to recognize it. We just think or speak to ourselves that the next one will be better. This was unfulfilling, so let me keep going higher. And what we do is we set up this expectation that nothing we do will ever be good enough. And that really is the belief system that sinks in. I know because I was there. That's exactly how I used to feel. I would keep telling myself if I reached for that, I'd feel better. If I did this, I'd feel better. If I accomplished that goal, I'd feel better. And that I just kept kicking down the road, kept being just beyond my reach. And I was accomplishing great things all around me. I was building businesses. I was building families, my own family. I was creating gorgeous things. And every time I was having an achievement of any kind, I'd tell myself, need to do better. I can do better. I can reach harder, farther, faster. Even in running, that was something I used to do. I wouldn't stop and celebrate. Damn, girl, you just did a half marathon, sister. Let's celebrate you. Nope, I'd just keep pushing to the next thing. I can do it faster than that. But when we don't intentionally give ourselves an opportunity for celebrating, we set ourselves up for failure because what we're doing is chipping away at our happiness. Slowly eroding our happiness. See, because that's where celebration can support us in recognizing how worthy we are. When we celebrate, not only are we acknowledging the achievements and the capability, but celebration reminds us that we're worthy of it. Celebration builds self-worth. In relationships, it builds a sense of worth of the relationship. This matters to me enough to stop and celebrate and acknowledge and offer appreciation. That's what my team felt when we celebrated that diamond status. Then they were so amazing and so grateful and felt so empowered by that celebration. They then kicked off, and within months we were Diamond Plus, the next goal in Invisalign's hierarchy. But the celebration is what mattered. I'll never forget one of my most valuable team members who started 4 years ago with us. When she came to us from another orthodontic practice. And she had been at that orthodontic practice well over a decade. And I said to her, why are you looking for something different right now? And she said, I don't feel valued. I said, well, what is it? What would it take for you to feel valued? Do you need more, to be paid more? I mean, is that what is expressing your sense of value, is your hourly rate? And she said, no, it's not that. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't feel valued. One of the things that has been so enormous for her in her journey in our office is that she feels valued because we celebrate her. It's just a part of our practice is celebration. It's such an important part for each one of us to feel appreciated, not just for each other, but for ourselves. It's such a critical component of personal development and self-awareness. Celebrating yourself. Celebrating, for me, feels like I'm putting myself back in the driver's seat of my own life. When we don't take the time to do that, we start to feel like we're being run by the events and the people around us. But celebrating our own power is so empowering. For us to be able to take back control in a driver's seat, sit back down in the driver's seat of our own lives. I think that without a doubt, building a habit of happiness is founded on those two concepts of gratitude and celebration. Mostly because of the abundance that it reminds you that you have in your world, not just of material things, but an abundance of capability, an abundance of resources, an abundance of joy. Celebration automatically puts us in that place of happiness. And so why not celebrate every single day? It doesn't have to be going off to Switzerland, although that was fabulous. You know what's so interesting is it was so fabulous. But both Killian and I were so eager to come back to our regular lives because we've created such a wealth within our own daily lives. Because every day I celebrate. How do I do that? At the end of the day, I reflect on the day and I remind myself of the great things that have happened and I celebrate them. It can be as small as driving home from work and remembering 3 things. You know, today I'm going to celebrate that I had that difficult conversation. In the past, difficult conversations were things I avoided, but today I took on a difficult conversation. Yay, me. It's a big deal. Just saying that at the end of the day reminds you of your power. It gives you back your strength. It also clears out all the negativity from the day, right? Perhaps you're sitting there thinking, well, I have nothing to celebrate. I challenge you to find 3 things that you can celebrate in this moment. Not even necessarily things that to be grateful for. I mean things to celebrate. Celebration, maybe a relationship that you've been working on, maybe a goal that you set that you've just automatically achieved and didn't even take a moment to recognize. Well, take a moment right now. I did 21 days of meditation and I hadn't been on a roll like that before. Well, celebrate it, my sister. That's amazing. When you make a commitment and a goal towards something and you accomplish it, most important to celebrate it. Celebrating by yourself is one great thing. Yeah, I think that's also why so many of us gravitate towards Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, because celebrations feel good to share. They feel good to share. There's nothing wrong with it. I have no problem with people showing their celebrations online. What it's doing, it's reminding and reinforcing us of what we do have in our lives, of all the reasons why we can smile, why we can feel happy. And I think it's also an enormous part of healing. Not just healing old wounds and traumas, but healing in a literal sense for our patients. Taking a moment to celebrate steps in our treatment, in our progress of our care, moments in time during 2 years of moving teeth. I mean, that's a long time to maintain and sustain motivation. You know what does it beautifully? Celebration. Taking a moment midway through, a quarter of the way through, multiple times through, to celebrate your patient and to give them a sense of accomplishment. Man, you're right. I have done a great job. Look at this right here in your mouth. Look at how far you've come. Good job. Gives us that sense of keep going. You've got this. Look at how far you've come. My mother is an incredible physical therapist, and she specializes in lymphedema, which is when you have big swelling and collections of lymph in your any part of your body. And she works with her patients to bring those big swollen parts down. And it takes a lot of commitment, daily commitment of putting dressing on or keeping a tight dressing on there for, weeks at a time. The most powerful way for her to get that motivation to keep going is celebrating how far they've come. Even just taking measurements of your arm before you started and then showing them as they're progressing. Look at this. Look at how much smaller your arm is compared to when we started. Here's an actual measurement. Let's celebrate that, my friend. I mean, can't you feel the excitement in my voice? Don't you feel the excitement in your body? Just imagining that you can actually transform your body. That you have that power. You can remind yourself of your capability, of your magic. If you can do that, well, what else can you do? Imagine a world where everything you set out to do and you accomplished, you gave yourself permission to celebrate. Imagine how good that would feel, whether you did it privately or publicly. Imagine what that would feel like when you felt celebrated every single day. Imagine how relationships in your world would blossom if they felt celebrated. Maybe not every day, but occasionally. I mean, are there relationships in your life that you've never celebrated? Celebration reminds us what's important to us. Celebration gives us that value. Imagine feeling that in all aspects of your life. And here's the kicker. You have the power to do so. You do. It's within you. You have every power to be able to find and celebrate any aspect of your life, be it in business, leadership, relationships, personal development, your dreams and goals. You have the power to reinforce those feel-good neurochemicals to give yourself motivation to gain even more. You're amazing. This gets me so excited because it is such a great reminder of how much power we actually do have in our lives. How much we do get the opportunity to color and shape and design the life of our dreams. And this is one of the most powerful tools. I would love to know what you're celebrating. I would love to know what in your life you maybe haven't celebrated yet. And now you're recognizing, yeah, I really need to take a moment to celebrate this. I need to take a moment to celebrate my patient, my sister, my colleague, my team member, myself. I'd love to know what that is. Let me know. Reach out to me on Facebook, Tarryn MacCarthy, TarrynMacCarthy, or Instagram on the the business of happiness. Let me know, what are you celebrating? And then I'd love to know, how does it impact your happiness? Because when you feel good, that's when you can have great impact on the world around you. Because when you feel good, you do good. Bye-bye.